In this video we're just going to cover something that I get asked quite a lot about Lumix cameras, and that's whether you can use USB-C microphones with them. So this sort of works right across the Lumix range. I don't know of any exceptions, but essentially what will happen is, so we've got a Rode Video Mic Go 2 here, and we're just using the GH6 as an example, but like I say, this works essentially the same across all of them. So what will happen is, if you open up the side door and go to put in the USB-C cable, so I'm just using the Rode USB-C cable that comes with this, what you'll find is when you plug it in, it doesn't look like it's sort of rejected the mic or it's not working, because what's happening is you've plugged the mic in, but because this port doesn't actually recognise, it's not an audio interface to the camera, so what's still happening here is actually the bits on the top, the internal mic is still the one recording. So you can see if I just give it a little tap on the top, you can kind of see it peaking. It's a little bit difficult because I've got a cage on the top, but essentially the external mic is not actually what's recording there. And it will tell you this if you switch into the USB SSD mode. It'll actually just tell you basically, you know, it knows something's connected but it can't be used because obviously it's looking for an SSD drive. So it knows the mic is connected, and it knows, you know, that it's not an actual SSD when you're in that mode. But the sort of reasoning behind that is that you've got your you've got your audio input sort of separate. So you've got your mic input right here at the top, and that's a 3.5mm input, and that's the only one it will take as an audio interface. You do obviously have the option of the XLR1, so you've got the potentially 4 channels of audio, and that is a slightly different thing. But your primary audio port, sorry, not the headphone one. The primary audio port is this mic one up at the top. So anything really you plug into the USB port, it will take an input for power. It will take an output for SSD drives. There's a couple of little things you can kind of do with that port, but unfortunately using it as a mic port is sort of not one of them. And it probably would get a bit confusing across the camera, you know, if you could use the mic port and the USB-C port. So there's sort of a reason for that. It's just not used for that. And one thing I am kind of hoping that we'll see in future Lumix cameras is really the addition of another USB-C port, and then potentially, you know, with microphones, they've not changed in such a long time. You know, we're still using the 3.5mm jack that we've used for a long time, and that's why mics are a good investment really. But now we've got the introduction of USB-C mics, you know, it's possible that we'll see more USB-C ports come into these types of cameras, because even now we've got like a kind of a bottleneck on this where we'd like to be using USB PD sort of power input, which I've done a video about, so I'll link to that. And also SSD recording, which again, you know, we've covered that in another video, but it's at the moment it would be nice to even have sort of more USB-C ports, but that's sort of going off on a bit more of a tangent. But you know, short and sweet answer is basically, unfortunately you can't use USB-C mics unless you can convert it in some way to a 3.5mm adapter, in which case, you know, you'd just be better off really just finding a mic that will support this. Or like I say, you've got the alternative of the XLR1, so either one of those are a kind of a viable solution really for mics at this point. So hopefully that's helped. If it has, give the video a like. If you want to see more content like this, then please subscribe.